something that just clicked there. I can remember that video we saw when we were looking for try to get a name and all that. And I remember that
Mm.
video we saw of like the three kids like trying to do a podcast, but they keep in the part
Oh,
where
yeah.
they are like setting everything up and all that. I think
Mm.
my favorite part of that is the part where like they're setting all up right, and then like there's just that one kid singing off to the side, and so the kid in the center tells him to shut up, and there's just that look of like the hmm. I don't know I don't know why that just pops into my head. Uh,
Mm.
the, the the fucking list of names that we ended up having, uh, and all that, and I love how the fucking degenerate I was. I pulled up a fuck. What do you call it again? A name
What, a
generator.
name
Yeah,
generator?
name generator.
Mm-hmm.
And how
And then,
like all the names were taken. Like it wasn't even
uh-huh.
generating names. It was just picking names. Like it had D&D Beyond in there. Oh, I've never heard of that. That doesn't exist, does it? Like, great.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm gonna call it. You know what we should call a group channel. We should call it Pathfinder. Never been used. It's new name, brand new name, Pathfinder.
Uh-huh. And then, like, some of the actually decent names just so happen to be already taken.
Exactly, which was fuming because it'd feel like an actual good
Or
name.
there'll be, like, the other ones that are just, like, blatant rip-offs of existing, like, groups.
Uh, or so many of them, which are clearly like Critical Role, but like slightly changed a bit to like Critical Fail
Uh-huh.
or something like that. Or
Mm-hmm.
um, see with the new with the new Fandelver book that's coming out. It got me. Well, the new Fandelver book like was coming out. It started making me think about the original campaign we did, like all the way back at the club when we first started doing D&D.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember, because that was back in 2020, was it?
I think it was 2019, I want to say. Either that or 2020.
I think yeah, it was 2019 or 2020.
Because
Uh,
if I go to D&D Beyond, I can actually check when this account was created,
mhm.
which I think was 2021 or 2022.
I,
I
th-
don't think it would have been 2022 though.
I think we made our accounts on D&D Beyond in 2021 because that's when we made the Discord channel.
And that was when we like actually started again.
Mhm.
Uh, what's this? I can still remember my first character.
I don't remember the name.
Well, I don't remember his name, but I remember he was a Dragonborn. I think it was a Dragonborn fighter.
Yeah, no, yeah, I remember him as well.
And then I fucking lost the character sheet.
And you had to play your brother's other character who was a
Dwarven
cleric.
cleric.
Yeah.
Uh
Uh,
huh. Ruddock, who, when my brother played him, would always enunciate his presence by busting down a door and going, "The name's Ruddock, you bitch!"
oh, like I will admit, like when we look back to that old campaign, there's so many things so scuffed about it, but
Mm-hmm.
there's like gems in there. Like
Because that was all the way back when the Mystic was a
oh,
class as well.
see, back then when I look at stuff, like I remember when I first like ever played D&D, right? I didn't know what anything was, right? So I didn't know what a bugbear, I didn't know what a kobold, I didn't know what any of that was. But the thing is, I when with the person who was DMing, right, was Ross, right? When he was DMing, they never explained what anything was to me. So,
Mm.
I know Angie was one of the players. I don't remember who the other player was. Because I think we had it for
For
like
when Ross was DMing.
yeah when Ross was DMing. This is back before like I was even DMing. This was like my first time ever playing D&D. But they mentioned what a bugbear was, and I didn't know what that was. I thought it was like the way they described it to me. I thought it was like a pig, like a humanoid pig, which nowadays like you laugh at because it's like you know what a bugbear is, but I thought it was like a humanoid, like a big fat humanoid pig, like grotesque thing, and like oh I don't know, it was so wild playing in that campaign, like in a good way I mean, because like I had no idea what was going on. Like nowadays you could say you're up against a bugbear and I'd be like easy. Back then I was like, a bugbear? What's that? Ooh, scary. And nowadays it's like a bugbear. I've killed like 40 of them back in the last room. You know, I could easily take one on. Like,
and then, like, how long ago was it? I think it was, I mean, I actually have no idea, but they reworked bugbears as a race with,
Monsters of the Multiverse.
yeah.
Yeah, that was. I want to say that was last year. I think that was only last year. Like, it doesn't feel like it was that long ago, but I think it was about almost a year now. I might be wrong, but that's me just kind of shitting at the top of my head.
From what I remember, it became a little bit better.
Yeah. They also made it a fae, oddly enough.
Oh yeah, because it's a type of goblin.
Fair.
I guess goblins are fae.
Yeah, which I never know, but I guess they are now. But
which is, well, I think it's kind of interesting, the variety of goblins. Because you have the regular goblin, who's like 3 to 4 feet tall. Then you have hobgoblins, who are 5 to 6, I think. Then there's the bugbear, which is anywhere from 6 to 8 feet tall.
Yeah, like I do love that with the goblins, and how they literally have a hierarchy, as well, because like you've got like the goblins treated like the shittest of the shit. Hobgoblins treat them shit, and then bugbear treats all of them like shit. Like 90% when we see a bugbear, it's usually like goblins who are like their minions.
And hobgoblins are usually used as sort of like field marshal roles, as far as I'm aware. In like war.
Yeah, no, goblins are kind of like they're overlooked a bit in my opinion, because they are, like, to be fair, they are really squishy. Of course, but I say that, and then
but apparently, if you enter them in a horde, smiley face.jpg.
Yeah, because back in the Lost Mine of Fandelver campaign, like, it's happened so many times, but that first encounter is always such a shit show. Like, like they make you level 1 up against like 6 or so goblins, and then they somehow have enough power to almost kill the party. Like, it's a genuine complaint I've heard of the Lost Mine of Fandelver book, and it's so funny. What was it though as well? I still do absolutely remember because I remember you bought Mystic. I love that when I got properly into D&D, like after we took that big break, I looked at what Mystic was and then found out it was like banned and shit. I was like, oh, fair enough. But like, yeah, I can see why. In the entire time we did that campaign with that person playing a Mystic, because goddamn, like, like the thing is, like, nowadays, if someone like goes, "Oh, I'm just gonna like float," I'd be like, "Okay, thumbs up." Well, I wouldn't be like that. I'd be like, "Okay, well, how?" But back then, I was with people who knew more about D&D than I did, and I was the DM, so they would say something, and I'd just be like, "Okay, yeah, sure, that works," and then not question it, because they know more about me. Well, they don't know about me, but they know more about D&D than me. But yeah, no. mystics were wild. And to be fair, I know some people. Well, I say some. I think I've had only like one person ever ask for the mystic to actually come back.
Mhm.
Like, to be fair, I think if they got like a full like rework, they could maybe work.
Mhm.
Or something like that.
Oh. Another thing I liked about that starting campaign was the character duel between the mystic and the banneret or purple dragon knight fighter, because they were a rip-off of Starsky and Hutch, called it Starscourge and Hutchman.
I love that. Oh, I remember they both got artwork as well, and I still have their artwork saved on my phone. So I'll be like scrolling through my photos, and I'll just see those two, and I'm like, classic duo. I love them. They were hilarious.
Mhm.
And then I can remember when we first got Andrew to come on, he made Gary Small, which
The fucking kobold.
who had like who had the like pink polka dot what was it? It was a pink polka dot wasn't a cape, was it? No, it was a cloak. It was a pink polka dot cloak. Well, it was a polka dot
It was
cloak.
a magic item.
Yeah, it was a cloak of many fashions, and they made it like pink polka dots and all that, and it was wild.
Mhm.
Um,
And I forgot if it was. I think it was him.
yeah, I think it was him. It was it was so funny. Here in the description, it's like, oh, she's my little kobold, pink polka dots, and then he sunk our entire ship with tidal wave.
The strangely obsessed tidal wave kobold.
Yeah, it was kind of wild.
Just like every single encounter. Yeah, I guess tidal wave. Just like, yeah, fuck you. I'm gonna waterboard you.
Yeah, no, and it would somehow just always like kill everything. Like it would do so much damage. Like the first campaign, there was like I can see a lot of my errors because it was pretty scuffed in a lot of areas.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Something.
I think the main takeaway from that whole first campaign is it was fun as shit, but it was scuffed. It was
Quite OP.
It was quite OP in a lot of areas. Like a lot of people got quite OP very quickly. Like combat encounters were just wild.
I actually quite liked the magic item that my character was given, which was the funny big gauntlet that he could use to. I don't remember what the spell is called off the top of my head, but I remember that it's used to literally just make stuff. So, like, if you have a mass, like a large quantity of stone, you could go, alright, magic, and just turn it into a bridge.
Oh, I think I remember that item. Didn't we get that item like again recently in that Out of the Abyss campaign? Or am I?
No, it was a custom item.
Oh, was it a custom item? Oh no, I'm thinking of something else completely. Yeah. No, I get what you mean. Fuck, I completely forgot that existed.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I don't think I've really found many situations where I could use it for anything.
Yeah, no, I remember I spent a lot of time just like making items, and I will be honest, do you know how I did the damage? Like, what would be the good damage for each item? I would just look at a monster and then just pick that. So like,
because
the damage would just be like fucking wild because it'd be the same as like a white. I remember the hammer I did was the same damage as a young white dragon.
It's like, oh yeah, here's this big demon hammer. Yeah, you're gonna hit that guy and do like 3d8 damage to him just because.
Just because funny.
Just feeling a little bit silly.
Just feel a little bit silly.
Mm.
Um,
I remember also at that time I had no idea how the actual stats worked. So like,
yeah, no, I remember as well. I think like a lot of us didn't know how the stats actually worked.
mm,
Uh,
mm,
what was it again? Yeah, no, I can remember so many encounters where like like I would do something, like I would say something to the DM, and then like someone would ask, "Oh, what should I roll?" And I'd be like, and I wouldn't know like any of the stats, so I'd just be like,
mm,
what should I roll, guys? What should you guys roll? And you just could like say anything. I'm like, yeah, sure. Which like nowadays, like I kind of like know everything at the top of my head, so I'm kind of like, yeah, roll like religion, roll. It's like, but I just want to say hi to someone. Yeah, too bad, roll religion.
mm,
Uh,
mm.
oh, it was, it's kind of funny thinking back to the original campaign and oh, just how stupidly fun it was, but yet how scuffed it was. Like I don't know how to properly explain it. Um, but
Mm.
I don't know. Like it felt new because we didn't know half of D&D. We didn't know anything about it.
Mhm.
Um, you know, like nowadays we kind of expect every encounter. Like we kind of like when I read the description of something, kind of like, oh, that's that thing. Like that's a beholder. That's a kraken. It's like, oh, back then it's like this thing has like 4 eyes. Well, I only know things with 2 eyes. So I don't know what the fuck that is.
Mhm. And then we had essentially a section of that campaign after we came back to D&D, where essentially I believe it was something had happened, like there was some sort of attack going on, and two of the characters, being Gary Small and my character Saul, the Warforged cleric, both injured using a spell book to cast some sort of ancient spell, which created an alternate timeline,
Oh yeah.
or I believe it was that, where the current many campaigns take place.
Mhm. Because if I remember correctly, well, basically, like in the real scenario, we like we had a club we would go to play D&D, right? We'd go to that, which is when we start like when I first started DMing, and then we did I think what 3 campaigns there with like
I believe so.
I think it was about 3 campaigns. We had like all these like big characters like Pickled Pete, the Plague Doctor,
The
like
classic.
the classic characters, and
Mm-hmm.
like I can remember COVID hit. I think it was COVID, right? I'm pretty sure it was. It was either COVID or the club just stopped for a bit. I don't remember entirely. I think the club might have just stopped for a bit because I don't think it was COVID at this point.
Mm.
So we couldn't do D&D anymore. So we tried to do it online, and it just like it just wasn't working well. And then we kind of had that mentality of we probably would never do D&D online again. Oh, only if he knew.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember one fateful night, I was watching stuff, and for the longest time, I kept having those characters pop back up in my head, like those old characters in that old story that could. And it'd been like almost a year since the last session that it would feel weird to go back into it in the middle of where it was. Like, it was at the height of all this drama. And then, like, it'd been a year later in real life, so it'd be weird to just hop back into it, like... So,
as if nothing had happened.
Yeah, like a real life year hasn't just passed, and I knew for a fact everyone would forget what happened, because I barely remembered most of it. So, what I did was just make a Discord server, and invited like a handful of people, and we did like a D&D session, a D&D campaign. It was just supposed to be like a short campaign called the Book of Windwhelm, and then that's when I kind of revealed that it was like it was kind of like a reboot timeline, like reboot and everything. So, and then in a different campaign later on, I explained what happened to that original one, which had your character and Andrew's character, Gary Small, and Saul, was it, if I remember? Yeah? Yeah.
Yes.
Saul, taking this like big mystical book and like restarting the whole timeline to like save the world, basically.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, like, and then so I was able to bring back all the original characters and all that, and even ones who were dead, like Talon, who, you know, perished.
And then the restarting of the timeline, the like jump start, the reanimation, would bring to light some new legendary heroes such as the Lucian Prider. I think it was the Lestosh Camrianus, if we want to include that one. Fuck. And Ogred Rookslayer.
And then
And
just Ethan. I want to save Ethan for his own like thing at some point. Like, he is his own, he is his own case, like his own case study. Like, oh, but yeah, no, I can still remember that first campaign in this new like setting, which just so everyone knows for context, we are still in this world in real, like, not in real life, sorry, in game. We've done a total of how many years in it? I think over 10 years. I think maybe over 20 years. Which is wild to think about. In real life...
In the setting, it's been about 20 years since the start.
Yeah, in real life, it's almost been 2 years. Because we started in October of 2021. Which, I like... It's at some point I do want to go over like a lot of these campaigns, because there's so many like there's so many like good things that happened in them, and there's so many legendary moments. But I will always remember in that first campaign back, that always sticks to me, and genuinely one of the best moments in that entire campaign, the Book of Windwhelm, was the moment that you guys are up against like the undead king. And then you do that just badass moment where you rage and all that.
Yeah.
So good. And then like Lucian used like Ethan's parts to like
catapult the king.
Like, Ethan was he was so. I think Ethan's been one of the worst we've ever gotten. But like,
we get to the king. He immediately fucking obliterates Ethan Ethereal.
Which,
and then
which, if I remember correctly, I think Ethan was the first time I've ever killed a PC off. Which, at the time, I was like, wow, is that what it feels like? And now I've done it like 40 times now. I'm like used to that feeling. I'm numbed.
And then I would have Ogred Rage and close with the king in a epic battle of melee. Which, again, that was the first time I'd ever played a barbarian, so I was having a lot of fun describing each time he would rage. And now, because it's so like muted, it's just like, oh yeah, angry.
Yeah, angry. Like I remembered every time you described like playing them, because as context, right? You play Barbarian basically every campaign now.
Yeah,
Because
it's my favorite class. If you could not tell.
yeah, which isn't a bad thing, right? Like, there's so many people I know who, well, not know, but many people I've heard who are like, oh, if you play the same class over and over again, you're like basic. But it's like, wow, I like playing like the same class. Wow, how wrong am I for wanting to have fun? Like, but what was it though? What classes did you play before Barbarian again? I know it was Cleric.
Cleric and fighter.
Yeah, Cleric and Fighter. And what was Ruddock?
Cleric.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, but yeah, you playing Barbarian for the first couple of times was so funny because every time you'd rage, it'd be this big, deep, oh, the rage builds up inside me, watching my friend die, I rage! And then I was like,
and then
I rage.
yeah.
It's not even
And then
that, it's
also, and then there was also after every single campaign, where we do each character's little like end piece, like what we do after the campaign. It's like, oh yeah, I return back to the mountains to be with my people. All right, big man, what have you got? It's like, oh shit, I better get the popcorn ready.
Yeah. Like, I absolutely loved that.
It's like a
so
script
much.
for a movie each time.
It was so good because we would end a campaign, right? Someone would be like, "Oh, I go and live with my family and all that," blah, and it would be like 2 minutes. You would be genuinely about like 10, 15 minutes, which is fine. Which is good.
By the
like it's a good thing for people to have that much like depth into their character. It's better than like the typical like, I live in the town. That's it. Like just.
I think I might still have the note I made a little while ago that was all of Ogred's titles and like nicknames he had by the end of the campaign, or like by the time that I stopped playing him, because it was genuinely, there was like 8 titles.
It was amazing. I remember, what wasn't the first title he had was just Ogre Rookslayer.
Yes, he was originally Ogred Rookslayer, and then after vanquishing many dragons, he would become Ogred Rookslayer and Dragon's Bane.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, it would just stack and stack. And what made it funnier to me at the time was, in the world, like in lore, Goliaths, when referring to themselves, refer to themselves as all of their like names and such. So like, I am like, well, for example, Ogred Rookslayer of Cathol Olavi. That was his clan.
Mm-hmm.
Now, imagine you walk up to this guy, and he goes, "Oh yeah, my name is Ogred Rookslayer and Dragon's Bane, yada yada yada," for like 20 minutes.
For 20 straight minutes, just saying these fucking titles.
Oh, like it reminds me of like the knights, Imperial Knights from 40k, because they're sort of like pompous, and like they see themselves as above the local people because, well, they're nobles. And so, for example, in the game Shoot His Blood and Teeth, where you play as orcs, you encounter a knight, and there's just this massive text, like this massive, just like 7 bars of just straight text that are all of his titles. And he goes on for like 2 minutes going through them all, and then the orc yawns and he goes, "What?" And he goes, "I am Lord Horace Knorr." Oh no, it was Horic Knorr. And it's as if he's about to go through it all again, and he just goes, "Ah, yeah, fuck you," and just starts shooting them.
I love that. I absolutely love the orcs in 40k. They're amazing.
Mhm.
I just love goofy shit in general and like media.
And speaking of orcs, in D&D we had a big orc war in the world.
Twice.
Yeah. And the second one, our party was actually involved. Smiley face.
Oh yeah, I remember so many things that happened with that.
But before that, there was Out of the Abyss was one of the big campaigns.
Hmm.
Um, where, well, if you don't know Out of the Abyss, your main threat is the Demogorgon, one of the big demon lords. He's the demon prince, from
Hmm.
what I remember.
Yeah, he's one of the demon princes.
Yeah, and I think he's supposed to be the most powerful? Question mark.
Question mark.
Uh,
Indeed, I think he is.
mm. But basically, the whole idea is you need to kill him, but there's also the Drow. The Drow, very mean, big, stinky. These guys, they're slavers.
Yeah, like it's quite easy to hate like the normal like, oh yeah, I kill innocent
Uh-huh.
people. It's like I enslave people. It's like,
Uh-huh. On the tier list, these guys are an E tier.
these guys on E tier. Oh, that Out of the Abyss campaign was, oh, it was so wild. And I still remember like the shock on everyone's faces when they realized they fucked up when when the Orc King just showed up.
But leading up to the Orc King battle again, we had the big fight with all the demon lords. Earlier in the campaign, we got our ass fucking handed to us by the Demogorgon when he like spawned, or when he was summoned. One of our characters, well, PCs who'd made a new character, was playing as one of the Leonin. Yeah, he was I think a Leonin paladin, but he didn't make his character right and went, oh yeah, I'm just gonna kill him off. So you see him like throw one of his weapons at the Demogorgon, and all of a sudden, from like a mile away, you just see him become a red mist.
like, like the best part of it, like they're sitting there going, "Yeah, I do 30 damage," and I just go, "Not all." They have immunity.
Then after that, there was the actual. Well, there was Yengu. Yengu. Yengu is a null. The nulls are like hyena people. He's the demon lord of them. B tier.
B tier.
But he fucked us up with his crazy 3-headed flail and his like big sharp fangs, whatever. And then we got to the actual fight with them all. Yengu shows up, Orcus shows up, the Demogorgon shows up, whoever the fuck else was there.
Orcus.
I think there was some big like Minotaur looking guy.
I don't remember all the names, but I know Orcus was one of them.
And they all fought it out. They all rocked each other's shit, but the Demogorgon rocked everyone's shit the hardest. And by that, I mean he literally showed up when it was literally just like Orcus left and he fucked him up.
Mm-hmm.
And Orcus was dead. The Demogorgon killed him, and then we came up from under the water where we're hiding because of where we spawned them, and canonically, in under a minute, killed him.
Yeah, like, it's so funny with D&D time, right? Like, a round is only 6 seconds. You guys have like 40 billion guys with you, right? And like, in real life, I think the fight actually took about...
It took like 20 minutes. Probably more.
Well, no, it didn't take 20 minutes. We were doing like Demogorgon fight for like an hour or two, maybe even longer. Like everyone was tired by the end, and then like they finally die, and then someone sat there and went, "Well, guys, it only took about like a minute."
But I was able to land the final blow on him. How do you want to kill him? Smiley face. The weapon I used to do so was a rocket hammer, like the one Reinhardt uses in Overwatch. except mine, unlike that, is magic.
Yes, because
And it was
technologies and
cool.
all that.
And it was cool because where the fire comes out, the head of it is designed like a big dragon's head.
Oh yeah.
So it looks like it's breathing fire as you bring it down on someone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I swung it up into the Demogorgon's one of his two faces, and it hit him with enough force that it took him off his fucking feet.
Mm-hmm.
He landed on his back, one of his heads was ruined. I crushed the other one, and as we were celebrating, thought, well, I was told by Andrew, wouldn't it be funny? I agreed, and I thought, wouldn't it be funny? And I went over to Orcus, or me and Andrew went over to Orcus. Andrew was still a big spellcaster man at the time, and he's ready there with some serious healing magic. And we're looking at the wand of Orcus because it was extremely funny. And I look down at the body of Orcus and I go, I'll be taking that. I should be yoink.
Oh, yeah.
And
the
then
genuine fear I had when Angie pointed out that he had the wand of Orc, I was like, wait a minute. Fuck.
And then I created it was a cool idea, but it didn't really go anywhere because, well, the thing is, the Wand of Orcus, the idea of it is that there's a like demon spirit inside it. Basically, there was a hero who fought Orcus, and Orcus fucked him up hard, and then took his soul, hid it somewhere, and turned his body into the wand. And the soul is heavily guarded, but you can restore the guy to life to then destroy the wand by taking it to the positive energy plane.
Mm-hmm.
But the demon like soul spirit thing in the wand has its goal is to try and tempt you into thinking that you can rise to power. You could maybe even overthrow Orcus himself. And the whole thing is that it's a big lie. He's a little manipulator. He's a bit of a deceiver.
He's a bit of a gaslighter, as the cool kids say.
Uh-huh. And so that thing's entire goal is to make you power hungry, and then I'm not actually too sure what's supposed to happen. I think Orcus just like comes up and fucks you up and takes it back and goes like, moron.
Lol.
I'm just like, oh, you moron, but we have this back. Chill. But see, the thing is with that, it couldn't really go anywhere because the problem is the character who collected it is so solid of mind that he's a fucking brick. It was literally just like, oh yes, use me, use my power, suck my penis. No.
A bit gay, innit?
Oh, it's just like, well, use me, and you could overthrow Orcus. You yourself could become a god. No.
No. Nah, I'm alright.
Uh-huh.
It was
Which
so
I can
funny.
understand. That could be a bit of a problem because you don't really get to have much fun with it. However, at the same time, there was a bit of fun had because the weapons. Well, by this point, several party members actually had sentient weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And so the weapons could actually talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And they would all just talk shit.
it was great because you had the wand of Orcus. It was like full blown like evil. We had the Sun Sword, who was like holy light and all that kind of shit. And then we had, oh, what was it again? The fucking funny one. Snicker Snack. All three of those swords, well, two swords and one, were all just talking shit, because you had Snicker Snack, whose entire thing was winding people up for the hell of it. And then you had it wasn't called the Holy Avenger, it's called the Sun Sword, yeah. The Sun Sword, whose entire thing was like good and power of the god and all that shit. And then you had the one of Orcus who's like completely evil. So you had probably the worst three sentient weapons to be in the same room. Just absolutely
Uh-huh.
talking shit. And the best part of it, only the wielders could hear like their weapon talking. Everyone else would hear
Mm-hmm.
nothing. The wielder would only hear their swords part of the argument. So no one was getting the full argument because the person who had the sun sword was a NPC.
Oh yeah.
So like it was so good. It was so funny.
So
I love good sentient weapons.
so it would just look like a group of schizos just like standing in a circle, reacting to whatever their weapon is saying.
Hmm. Oh, it was so funny. I loved it. We haven't had a
Yeah.
sentient
Then
weapon
there
in a while.
was. Hmm?
We haven't had a sentient
Mm-hmm.
weapon in like a good while. But God, that was the peak for
Mm-hmm.
sentient weapons.
And then there was the Orc King, who the build up for it was pretty cool. We stormed his castle. Like it was a proper siege. We stormed the castle. My character Virgil, who originally was called Methuselah, and had went to Strixhaven not because he's a wee dweeb, but more to like rediscover himself after being awoken from like many years of like rest because he was grievously wounded in battle. And then like some actual college dweebs went there. Somehow he did absolutely phenomenal in the fucking skateboarding.
Somehow, which I still don't know
The,
what that was on.
it's saddening that everyone else did worse than the literal 11-foot, 1.5 ton chunk of steel.
Hmm. Genuinely like shocking.
Mm.
And I still remember reading the like text box for what the guy says when you like first come in. I just sure
Oh,
like I'm not reading all that like because it was like
whoa, radical, dude.
radical dude. It was like oh my no way.
Mm-hmm.
It was so dumb and it was so great.
Mm. But
Hmm?
he was Methuselah. Then after that, became really big into religion. More specifically, sun worship, and that was during Curse of Strahd. And so he would become Polaris.
Hmm.
So he was named after the North Star. His whole armor was covered in like sun iconography and such. It was during that time where he acquired the three faces.
Oh yeah.
Then after that, he became Virgil.
Hmm.
Just Virgil. Not
Virtual.
named after some ancient tree or like a really old god. No, naming himself after the North Star. Just Virgil,
Which
the
is
word bearer.
yeah, which is their current name now.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm probably I'm right into assuming that is going to be their like full
Yeah.
finished name. Yeah, which is a good name.
And
It's
so,
an iconic name. For us at least, I say
and so,
iconic. Like everyone at home won't even know what we're talking about. They probably think we're talking like gibberish.
but during the siege, I believe he was some sort of, I want to say, commander, but I don't know. But we broke down the gate, and then I had Virgil basically showboat about it, like circling the area, raising his weapons into the air. Then I spawned all of the skeletons that I can with the wand. And then that was where my part of like my contribution ended, because the session ended then, and I couldn't show up to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
However, what did happen though
Yeah.
was that there was a ritual, and also like 3,000 damage was done to the Orc King.
Yeah. I still genuinely remember that moment, which it was a Glyph of Warden was used on a deck of cards that had been built up throughout the entire campaign, and the motherfucker who did it flung them, and it did 3,000 damage in total. Well, about over 3,000 damage.
Throughout the campaign, he'd been working up this deck of cards. There's 50 cards in a deck, and he was every day casting Glyph of Warding on each one with the crazy explosive rune that you can do. And it all paid off. Because he just fucking throws it like a grenade.
Yeah. And the thing is, I'm so happy they did it later in the fight, which allowed the ritual to be finished. Because if they did that just right away, I would have actually wept. And then the Orc King shows up and like big and like ooh, like he's became like an aspect of a god, which is like a whole other thing of its own. Which
yeah, so we used to have a running with an aspect of a god constantly, or at least that's how it felt back in the first campaign. Or not the before
before times
reconfiguring the timeline. But during the first few campaigns with like Lucian Prider and Ogre Rookslayer, before the establishing of Paris Glory, in the online sessions, current party we are following now Guild.
See,
and that aspect we were running with was Gorthok the Thunderboar, the aspect of Talos. Who's a thunder god. Gorthok, S tier.
S tier. He was great. I loved him.
Each time he showed up, I basically had to solo him because of the first time we fought him. I fucked him up.
Everyone pussied out, and you had to 1v1 him and won.
Everyone else ran. I had to 1v1 him, broke off one of his tusks, and stabbed it into his eye, killing him. Or stabbed it into his eye, then like carved him up with my sword. Then later he came back with the tusk and eye missing. I had to fight him again. And then like it was actually like every campaign he'd just show up again.
Yeah, it was great. Because it just gave this running gag until you guys took him down for like good. Well,
and now
he got trapped in a hammer by the Plague Doctor.
Yes, trapped in a marvel of technology.
And then, you know, there was that whole debacle. See, there's so many little stories throughout this entire world that we have, right? And like we sit here explaining it, right? But there's so many characters, there's so many events, just everything, that I have a feeling that people when they first hear this are going to be like, huh? What? But I feel like the longer we go on and the more we explain, like each separate campaigns themselves, like the Book of Windwhelm and all that, the more people actually get an understanding of like the world we have created here and how deep it can go, to be fair, and how fucking funny half of it is.
And if they wanted, they could comment on stuff we might want to see more of, like how Elias Gray, one of the members of Pars Glory, one of its founders, came to acquire Gorthok the Thunderboar as his wild card that he can just spawn in randomly.
and we can even start trying to get guests on, like people to come on, like the person who played Elias Gray, like Andrew. Have him come on and be like, yeah, I fuck hoes, I kill people, and then I did 3k damage to the big bad guy.
And then after the Orc King, there was, I think, another in-game time skip to... What did we actually do after that?
Out of the Abyss, I think we went into... I think we went into the whole Vecna campaign next.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and just before we move on to Vecna, one of the other things that was by far the most entertaining part of the whole Underdark campaign was whenever we would show up in a new town in the Underdark, it became mandatory. But it was something you had to do. And what you had to do was go into the tavern, find the nicest looking gentleman you can find in there, and start a nice, friendly conversation with them by applying knuckle to face.
The amount of fucking
tavern brawls was insane. At some point, I almost killed one of Caden's characters. Caden's the person who played the funny Dragonborn Roman, who got turned into paste, and Ethan.
And Ethan, which I still like. I want to get Caden on here and have him talk about how he went from making like the worst character for his first ever character to now like actually good characters. Like genuinely, it was
at some point during the Abyss, he showed up with a fairy character. A fairy, I think it's one of the homebrew races we have.
No, it's not actually. It's from the Feywild campaign.
Oh.
Yeah.
There you go.
Fun fact.
But the fairy is a foot tall. So my character's 11 times that. Like a million times as heavy, and there was a guy next to him as well. I think he was on the table just chilling out in a guy's drink.
Yeah.
I leaped onto the table. Another part of that was one of the other places we went into. I picked up a table because I like, why not? And so basically from here, the idea was to just look in a direction and just bulldoze through the tavern.
Yeah, no, I loved the tavern brawls, man. They were so fucking fun.
And I think it was after that, or maybe actually around that time, because we had acquired such a thirst for carnage and destruction that we were allowed to actually start fighting each other in training exercises. But yeah, then we moved on to Vecna.
Yo.
Which.
Oh.
Wait, no, I don't think it was Vecna after that, was it?
Was
no, it was.
Yeah,
never mind.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
I jumped the gun a little bit. I thought we went into the Doomslayer realm.
Oh yeah, no, we didn't go in the
No, yeah, that was after, I think.
Yeah, but we did the homebrew Vecna campaign, which started off pretty wholesome, right? You know, here's these two twins. Oh, here's a funny little mind flayer who's join your party. Here's this old adventurer who's joined you as well.
Wasn't that the campaign as well where Andrew started to bang the beans?
Yeah, the bean. Oh,
yeah,
beans.
And that created the incident where one of the things created was a giant beanstalk, at the top of which is the lair, or I guess home, of a cloud giant. The cloud giant who was living up there, S tier, absolute G.
He was amazing.
Kid tried to fucking steal from him.
Yeah.
Little goblin. And this guy was just a cook. He was just trying to provide for his cloud giant children. Then, at some point, we went up there. I didn't, because I couldn't make it to a session or something. We went up there, and he got fucking murdered.
Because the group had went up there multiple times, and it was clearly being stated that there was some sort of there was like another cloud giant faction who kept attacking them, but their kingdom was peaceful, so they didn't fight back. So by the time the group had made it up there after the last time, and by the way, he would get more injured and injured and injured, and was clearly losing a lot more. Like, he lost his children. Like, well, I say children, they weren't like actual children, they were like old enough to be soldiers, but they died protecting the kingdom. And so he's the last thing left, and he shows mercy to this cloud giant who's stormed the castle. He shows him mercy, saying that we don't have to keep fighting, that we can all be friendly. And then the cloud giant that he's just spelled stabs him and fucking kills him.
Yes. And I was waiting to find out about this. And in time, my vengeance would be exacted.
Oh, it would be. Oh, it was beautiful, because you went into you started doing a quest about giants again, and oh well, look at that! There's a cloud giant working with them, who's the exact same one, and he's in his room by himself.
How convenient! How convenient! And what's that? We're high level, and I got the Wand of Orcus back. And like I have my favorite magic item, especially for barbarian, the belt of storm giant strength, increases your strength score to 29. And what's that? I'm the tankiest guy in the party. Basically, it went a little bit something like this. Tap, tap, tap. Oh, who's that? Uh-oh.
It was so good, because this guy who was absolutely hated by the group, and the group couldn't do anything. They tried to fight him, right? He shot one crossbow to them and instantly halved, like, one of the party members, so they just fucked off. And so you just roll up and fucking wallop his shit, and you don't just do that, you fucking turn him into an undead. Which...
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I wanted him to suffer.
And suffer he did.
So because the Wand of Orcus is funny, it can cast spells. One of the spells it can cast, if you take 4 out of your 7 charges away, is a power word kill. Oh no, sorry, it wasn't power word kill, it's 3 charges, and it is Finger of Death. Finger of Death, if you kill someone with Finger of Death, they come back as a servant. I'd done this before on a half orc. No.
I think it's just a normal orc.
Oh yeah, it was just a normal orc back in the Underdark. Because I didn't know what to do, and I panicked, so I just thought, So he fucking died, came back as my servant, and I thought, oh damn, maybe I shouldn't have done that. I mean, he would later die valiantly, I think. As valiantly as he could, fighting some fucking demons that popped up for no reason.
Just
because we're in the drought.
Just random demons, lol.
But I think I used both of the power word kills, Finger of Deaths on him, while also just walloping his shit. He turned into a servant. I thought, yeah, that's right. Yeah, fucking, yeah, fuck you. And then later, I would go, you know what, this guy, honestly, just kind of mad. He's kind of, Ben. I just killed him.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Uh, which I still loved how attached everyone got to that cloud giant. Like they would constantly keep going to see him, and
Hmm.
then he just fucking died, and then everyone was like, no.
Hmm. And as before striking down the fucking mongrel dog, I would quote Frankenstein when he confronted his monster atop the, I think it was a like cliffside.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the whole quote, but yeah, that was funny. Uh, I fucked them up. Then we went and fought Vecna, which went pretty well actually.
Yeah, actually did go pretty well. Which, once again, like people may be thinking, oh, so these campaigns something that they were like, oh, maybe like a couple weeks, maybe. These campaigns were like a couple months each.
Hmm.
Um, like once again, we are only given like maybe 10% of each of these probably not even that of each of these campaigns. Like we will go into like, I hope, go into like a good bit of depth for each of them, tell the best moments of them and the actual overall story,
Hmm.
and stuff like that, which
Hmm.
will be pretty cool because it can allow people to really understand the world we've created, and it means that if we actually do eventually ever get caught up with what we're currently on, it means that people can like be like, oh yeah, I wonder what's gonna happen with, I don't know, that guy, yeah, that guy.
Hmm. Um, but we fucked up Vecna. The day was saved. Huzzah! Time to go to hell.
Yeah, uh,
Um.
Doom time.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, remember. Uh, but during the next like little time skip in the campaign thing, I'd have Virgil fuck off, and then reveal that actually over the years he'd become king of his land, because the kingdom of Mon Calieri. Where is it? Fuck you.
Look up in Google Maps.
Yeah, it's changed the location a couple of times. I'm not too sure on where it actually is. Um, but he's a big like keep out there called Castello del Monte, and in there somewhere is where he keeps the wand of Orcus. Where is it? I'm not telling you. You'll go fucking steal it, won't you? But over the years, Virgil has ruled over this as king since 1688 was when he went and fucked it up again, or took command after the previous king. He fucked them up because he was a little bitch. Um, he ruled over this place, and over the years as king, would amass a group of warriors, the most elite, prestigious warriors he could find, and these would become his 7 knights, or well, no, not even knights, the 7 saints of Moncalieri.
Mm-hmm.
And he would then spend the next couple of years sitting on the throne, and he would send out these 7 knights. I keep saying knights, saints, to do his bidding. Basically, as personal bodyguards to multiple people. One of which was the. I was about to say knight again. I guess he could be Abel, which all of these guys do have sort of biblical names. So, like for example, if I go find the actual reference sheet, the six. Oh yeah. The 6 knights apart from Abel are Cain, Ezekiel, Homer, Isaiah, Noah, and Raphael.
Which are absolutely just sick names, to be fair. They are such
Mm.
good names for saints. Wait, are the saints?
saints.
Yeah, saints.
The story of Abel is that basically he's a bit of a big man. He's only like 8'6". It's not that big.
Well, actually, yeah, he isn't that big compared to what height was Virgil again?
11 feet tall.
Yeah.
But basically, he was one of Virgil's bodyguards, or like, I guess, sort of honor guard within the kingdom. And at some point, there was an assassination attempt on Virgil, and this guy went, peace, fucking died, and got resurrected. The only thing is, it might not have gone exactly to plan, and he's a race, a homebrew race we use called the Awakened Skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, his type is the Armored Soul,
Mm-hmm.
which is sort of a kind of tankier melee specialist. One of the passive abilities this thing gets is that it gets resistance to slashing, piercing, and bludgeoning damage, which I play Barbarian. What's that? You're raging? Oh, I'm just gonna slash at you with my mighty God-slaying axe. Bang! Boom! Axe to the neck. Boom! Axe to the jugular. What's that? You're quartering the damage? I should just go kill myself.
Yeah, it was so wild trying to fight you as Aiden.
So you're quartering the damage. I'm out of a job.
I'm out of a job. I'm done.
How did I kill him? But speaking of killing him, he actually did almost die at the end of the campaign. Because there was...
Which campaign?
And I don't think it was the end of the campaign, but it was... Descent into Avernus. There was... I believe it was one of the Pit Fiend characters that showed up and rocked our shit.
Yeah. The whole, like, thing of Joseph and all that. His little plot point.
Yeah. Also, in Hell, there are fucking Mad Max cars.
Yeah. I still can't get over that fact.
And we had one.
It was sick.
I think we had two, actually.
Yeah, I think we had two.
I remember battling, I forgot his name, but he's a wereboar.
Oh, I know.
He was the wereboar chieftain.
Mm-hmm.
I had a 1v1 with him on top of one of the cars.
Mm-hmm.
And I fucked him up and I spared him. And I jumped back to the one we were on. And then later he would help us out against the Pit Fiend.
Mm-hmm. And he's still alive, I'm pretty sure.
Enticing.
It is very enticing, to be fair. He's always been kind of there in the back of my mind as like a potential like returning character. Like I have a list of like characters who I might, who are like one-off characters who I might bring back and expand further. He's always been kind of there as like one of them. I've been tempted, but I don't, maybe. There was also that time that the entire party just became werewolves for like a session. Because it was the first time fighting werewolves and we found out, oh shit, yeah, we could all just get turned into werewolves, and then you all got turned into werewolves.
But yeah, Descent into Avernus was an experience. There was a couple deaths, not too many, I don't think. Was it Descent into Avernus where one of the Polar's characters got brutally mauled to death by rats?
No, that was the Vecna campaign where they fell down a hole and was brutally eaten alive by rats.
Yeah, this character during their introduction had a bit of build up. Just for him to in the first like combat encounter get torn to shreds by some big rats.
Yeah, they jumped in a hole, got jumped by like 4 rats and died.
And then I think it was after that there was the old man goblin who could literally keel over and die of a heart attack or like a blood clot at any second.
At any second.
Like each day he would roll, or they would roll. And I don't know what the DC was, but if they failed, he's dead.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Which that day
Mm,
never actually came,
unfortunately. Oh,
unfortunately.
speaking of days that never came, quickly going back to, I'll briefly mention it, and maybe that can have its own video. There was a time where I accidentally struck a deal with James that I could survive a meteor.
Yes! I forgot about this.
Basically, because I had quite a lot of health at the time, and big damage negation from rage and whatnot. Basically, the theory was that if a meteor were to land on top of Virgil, he would just like live.
Oh, I completely forgot about this.
And so each day, a D100 would be rolled, and if it was 100, then a meteor would coincidentally fall out of the sky, fucking laser focused on me.
Which the day never came. I always rolled and I always kind of hoped whenever we'd start a session. And it never came.
But yeah, there was that. Avernus. I honestly don't think there's too much else that happened during Avernus,
Yeah.
or at least nothing that I can really remember.
Well, to be fair, there was what the fuck was the thing's called? The thing called like the big like stitched together person.
Oh, the Flash Golems?
Yeah, the flesh golem. What's his name?
Oh,
Oh
yeah, it had a name.
yeah, no. Remember, I remember it had a name and it couldn't do like this, like its name dance or whatever.
Oh!
And then just out of nowhere, there was just a whole like dance, like that just like all the fucking things in the room just started dancing.
Like this big Flash Golem like shambles into the room, starts to bust in the move.
It was so funny.
But after that, there was. I think it's the one we're doing just now.
After the set, well, there was that new start set we did.
One
which came
shot.
out.
Oh no! Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, with all the 9 million different kobolds.
Yeah, which all
One of them
had
was like
personalities.
constantly like hyperactive, just like running about all over the place. That saw quite a few new characters.
That saw you,
including that included the character duo me and Caden are doing, which is Caden is playing Jurgen Uwe, the race we're both using is collectively referred to as the Downcast. Basically, we're sort of like, I believe they used to be kind of angels, but we're downcast. We're just told, nah, get a fuck.
Yeah, basically.
And made mortal. The specific group we're using, I believe, is referred to as Begaltine or Galtine. I don't know exactly the pronunciation.
I think it's Galatine.
But basically, that one, you get a bonus to Charisma and Con, I think it is. You get to cast Shield of Faith once as a bonus action. And you get Divine Sangromancy, or I think that's the like other special thing this one gets, which is when someone's when someone's being healed, you can roll a hit die, which, for example, in my case is a D12, and if I roll, whatever I roll gets added to the healing whoever is getting, which can be quite cool. And so he's Jurgen Uwe, the Squire, to Sir Jorg Eberhard. Jorg has a lot of boars.
York has a lot of boars.
Yes, his surcoat is covered in boars. There's like 3 or 4, like on the front and back. His helm, it's designed like kind of tournament knights. So a lot of heraldry, tournament knights, even in like modern events like that, you'll see these big like crazy leather and stuff like that, like symbols or. Well, it's heraldry. So, like, for example, you could see a guy who's got the little headdress thing over the back of his helmet. I think it's called an orderly, but I think I've seen it referred to, like, through like Google search, being referred to as an orderly or a torse.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, it's a little cloth, like, ring that's put over the helmet, I believe, to keep the bit of cloth that goes over in place, and then as well as that, they'll have some sort of like it's a house like sort of crest, so like a big eagle head or something like that. And so the one Jorg has is a boar. It's a big boar head, and his last name has boar in it. Eber is boar, and so well if you from how I found it, and I think maybe if you Google it as well, Eberhard means to be as strong as a boar.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, funny boar man.
Funny boar time.
Mm-hmm. And then there was all the kobolds as well. Oh yeah, Elorian Grey was introduced as well. Elorian Grey is the son of Elias Grey, funny goat man.
Funny Goat Man, which is also a homebrew. Right? There's a lot of homebrew that we use because we've been playing D&D for so long. It's fun to mix shit up and just make our own stuff. So we'll probably get to like all the homebrew we've got at some point. Because in the beginning it's pretty simple because we didn't really use any homebrew.
But yeah, there was a bunch of goats. No, not kobolds. There was like 12, I think.
There were a lot actually, and then there was a person, like a quote unquote human. Well, there were 2 humans, and then another quote unquote human, who was actually a dragon. And yous helped them take care of the island, and then went and saved another dragon from another dragon. You know, blah blah blah. Things were good, and then yous left and met a guy called Quentin, and made your way up to Ellis's goat village. Which
where we helped out with the Goliath problem.
Yeah.
Because there was a local tribe who were a bunch of like pedos. not actually, but like they're just dicks.
I could imagine.
They aren't. Don't worry, they aren't the Welsh. We're not going like, oh, come here, you wee goat, you.
You know for a fact if Ben hears this, he's gonna like ring. He's gonna try and ring them. I'm gonna get the Ben seal of approval on this on that joke. Like, for context, one of our friends, Ben, who plays a character called Zolvan in the campaign, is Welsh, so we'll use him as a seal of approval. Guys, please don't cancel our first episode, no, please.
But yeah, we dealt with the Goliath problem. Ellie's 1v1 to their leader in like a fist fight and won.
Knocked his jaw off.
Then, and then I believe it was after that we went into the campaign we're doing now, for a bit online at least.
Yeah, Icewind Dale.
Which we've went to the 10 towns. Some of them were pretty cool. Each basically never-ending winter. Big bad, not cool, not cool, not cool in the slightest. These 10 towns, they all need, or they all believe that, well, in some sort of sacrifice, like through some sort of sacrifice, they can find a way to surpass this winter. So some take that literally, and so I think it's every week they'll go, all right, time to spin the wheel!
Spin the wheel!
Jerry Bolivar, you're up, buddy! Get him the guillotine!
Getting the guillotine. No, we needn't be that.
Well, okay, no, yeah, we're just sent out in the cold to die.
Yeah, like they're sent out in the undies to go out and die.
And then there's some other towns that instead they decide to starve themselves, or at least of most of their food. I believe they still have enough just to get by. Or they actually are just like fasting. It's just Ramadan.
Actually, yeah, it's exactly what that is. Actually,
and then there's the other town, or not other town, other towns that basically they just go cold.
Yeah, they just get rid of all the heat and shit like that and be like, please, please, give us back the fucking sun.
And then okay, so there was the prison place where I think it wasn't a prison, was it?
What do you mean?
Where we accidentally ended up torturing all of the Duergar?
Yeah, that was a fortress.
Ah, yeah, so there was a fortress we went to, and remember, although this party is supposed to be good, it's filled with maniacs. And so, like, half of them were just torturing these Duergar for information.
Yeah. Like, you've got some people in the party who are like, we should be morally good. And then you've got, like, the psychopaths who are like, I'm gonna, like, kick their balls, like, 5 times and break their kneecaps. Like,
okay. I wonder who that could be referring to.
I wonder who that could be. No one in particular, of course. Fucking demonic cretin.
Well, I mean, that child, remember, can cast shit. Also, I think it was a little bit before that. It might have been during the Vecna campaign. We picked up a child, a Kenku child called Clang.
We should probably put some context in there. It's just, if you just ended it at, yeah, we picked up a child. It's just like full stop.
We picked up a Kenku child called Clang, who was orphaned, or had been made into an orphan. And one of our party members, played by Libby, so the character Phoenix, is now the Kenku's like legal guardian. Or I'm not so sure about the legal part, except for the fact that the actual parents are dead.
Yeah.
Or we're sure at least one of them is.
That is a fair point. The father's never been mentioned.
Yeah, he was probably turned into KFC. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me considering the amount of jokes that certain party members make about going, oh yeah, let's just deep fry him. What do we keep him on? Just fire up the deep fryer.
You know for a fact someone's going to be sitting here at this pot eating chicken and they're going to be like, I don't want this no more. There are two reactions. They're either, I don't want that no more, or the psychopaths who are like, it has character.
But at some point, the Kenku started learning warlock magic.
No, sorcerer magic.
Oh no, it's sorcerer. Yeah. Yeah. So the most recent encounter during that campaign is we evacuated one of the towns because the reason we were at the fortress is because there was a Duergar there, who's an important figure because he can spawn, or he basically has sort of command over a big scary metal dragon. It's like a giant warforged, but it's a dragon, and it's going towards one of the towns, or towards the towns, And so, what did we do to him? We brutally annihilated him. We cut off some of his limbs. Someone cut his tongue out. In fact, it was Libby who cut his tongue out. Kicked him in the balls a bit more.
Threw him off like this high cliff area.
Oh yeah. And then when we didn't need him anymore, or when we realised that we didn't need him, and we were just exerting ourselves for absolutely no reason, just carrying around this literal like bean, because he barely had any use of his like remaining limbs, and the other two are gone. So we just went, oh fuck it, and kill him.
Oh, you talking about Sunblight?
Yeah.
Well, you killed him, but then brought him back.
Oh.
And then,
Oh yeah, in the new body.
Yeah, because you used reincarnate, but you used like the funny one, and he came back as Azumar. And then the group were like, you know, this guy seemed pretty chill, and then he betrayed the group.
Yeah, well, one of them was like, oh yeah, he's pretty chill, and then betrayed us.
Yeah, which that hasn't been resolved yet.
The dragon showed up in the town that we'd abandoned, but luckily we had someone to save us. Ashley Williams.
Oh, we
couldn't have killed him without Ashley Williams.
We need to get Matthew on and explain like the whole Ashley Williams thing. To anyone who's wondering, no, it's not a character who's like, just somehow has the same name. It is just Ashley.
It's genuinely a rip-off of Ashley Williams. It's not Ashley Williams. It's Ashen Josiah Wilhelms.
It is the fantasy
the human gunslinger.
Ashley Williams. It is amazing.
And also champion of the Raven Queen.
Yeah,
we can get into that in a moment.
We'll get to that.
But there was the dragon, and Ashley Williams helped us fight it. And everyone had like a turn to do something, and then Clang rose up. Thinking of all the times someone said, "Oh yeah, we should turn him into KFC." He looks through his little word book of all the words that he's memorised, and he thinks to himself, "Sniveling little coward!" Just fires Witch Bolt at the dragon and fucking kills it.
No, not Witch Bolt. Disintegrate.
Oh,
6 level Disintegrate that did like 70 something damage.
And
it just wiped
after
it.
Everyone else had like mutilated this mechanical beast. It just goes, oh yeah, fuck it.
It had 2 HP left, and Clang just made sure it was not coming back.
Oh yeah, and also probably should mention Clang. His vocabulary is quite split. There are times where he could go like Clang, or like what other normal things does he know?
Like yes, no.
Oh yeah,
mum.
He knows some stuff like that, and then the rest of his vocabulary is stuff like fuck, kill, snivel, little coward. Everybody get the fuck in here!
Yeah, when Andrew yelled that. Oh, Clang is basically the mascot of Paws Glory, in my opinion. Like, they're just those little squishy little Kenku.
For people who don't know, Kenkus cannot actually speak. Instead, they communicate through mimicry. So they memorize things that they've heard from other people and mimic that, like certain birds like parrots and ravens. And so he doesn't have the greatest vocab, but it's something.
He tried his best.
But as to Ashley Williams becoming the like champion of the Raven Queen, for that we need to pay attention to what happened at the club that we do.
Yeah,
every Tuesday. Like ages ago. And so basically we started doing another campaign there altogether, because we used to do the same campaign as we do in the online, but we get a little bit weird because like someone could maybe well, basically it means you don't need to explain what happened at the club, then do it online, then go back to the club to keep continuing the story and then explain what happened there. Because, remember.
Yeah, because some people, like, example like Ghost Knot, he can't come to the club because he lives in Ireland. So, he was kind of fucked. So then,
so we started
a campaign, like, at the club.
An entirely new campaign, which started out in Neverwinter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, to declare, it is in the same world as well as...
It's in the same world, it's just a couple years back.
Yes.
So the current campaign is in 1697. This is 1695 for the club.
It started in 1694, I think.
Yeah.
Currently at the club, it is in 1695.
And so when that started, we had Ashley Williams, Haldir Magnolia, the first of Caden's couple characters that he used, which was, I think it was just called Caw.
Yeah.
That was the chicken monk, who's a raging alcoholic and literally started out in prison.
There was Arthur.
Yeah, Arthur Morningbloom, the mushroom-born, who looks like an elf. I don't judge.
I don't judge personally.
And Bull Raijin, which was the another armored soul barbarian, but this one was a big skeleton samurai. And the whole idea with that was to go barbarian monk, specifically the Way of Mercy. And so the idea is he has two weapons, Harmony and Discord, which are his two twin axes. And so the idea is the axe, or the hand that wields, for example, Harmony, when he was to multi-class into monk, he would use the hand of healing on someone to heal them up. And for Discord, that would be the hand of harm. And so yeah, the idea was sort of balance with Bull Raijin. And then something I do is I think too much on something and then it just kind of devolves a little bit.
Yeah.
But then that went for a little bit. There was a big battle eventually with some characters that had been built up to be the sort of villain that ended up with the big castle where it blew up.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that was during the Dragon Siege as well, wasn't it? Yeah, so Neverwinter also got attacked by some dragons. The castle wherein exploded. I don't remember if it was before or after that, but Caw changed to Grellian Fishbeater.
Well, they don't have the option to change to a different character. It's more or less they went, I'm going to go and try and side with this dragon, see if they'd be very friendly, and then
and then get killed. Yeah, I actually turned into KFC.
Yeah.
Then he showed up with Grellian Fishbeater, who is a Weshelkind, basically a doll. And he dual-wielded, or I don't think he dual-wielded, but he had a fish as his hex weapon. And he would beat people with the fish. It was kind of funny. And as well as that, we had all acquired weapons of the Raven Queen as this was building up, as that arc was going on during this. So, for example, Bull Raijin had the Maul of Faith, which did extra damage if you chose to. It was optional. But you could only do it so many times. And there was also the funny gun, some plate armor, I think it was, or some sort of breastplate.
I think it was plate armor.
There was also the funny. It was a sword that Ashley Williams got, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I believe that was Dawn's Strife.
Mhm.
Mm. But the castle collapsed, exploded, gone. In the aftermath, where's Origen? No,
No.
just gone.
To never be seen again.
So,
Until, blah
and
blah.
I said that I left the mall, but I can only assume what happened to it is that it was yoinked by the uh, sort of enemy of that campaign.
Yes.
As well as that, I think some other stuff happened just after that. But I'm not too sure. James? Was there...
I'm trying to think. The Bo Raj and shit. After you got kind of like crushed, it was a lot of the group trying to just scramble together. Like,
Well, he never got crushed. It's
well, yeah,
up in the air.
but
Wink.
like, winky face. But a big avalanche happened, which fucked the group up quite a bit. But they basically had to like take their shit and leave. Like they had to grab what was ever left of just them and leave. And then as they were leaving, this big fucking like monster showed up out of the woods. That was being hunted by your other character that you made, your new character to replace Bo Rajan.
Yes, the character to replace Bo Rajan, Okumura, Okuma, Yuji.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, I had an idea that had been culminating for a little bit, but was basically just, wouldn't it be funny if I took like the hunter I have in Monster Hunter and just like copy paste,
Yeah,
or
it's
like
the
as
exact
close
same.
as I can to copy paste. So he literally has the same armor set. He's a barbarian ranger, specifically Path of or the Hunter Conclave for ranger, because it's actually quite funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, today I learned that, you know how, with that, if someone attacks you, if you're level 6 in it, well, in it, you get your multi-attack defense, well, as one of your things you can take. Multi-attack defense, specifically, is, after someone attacks you, all of their subsequent attacks on that turn, so like a second, third, fourth attack, whatever, that is directed at you on like the rest of that turn, you have a +4 bonus to your armor class. And what I learned today is that one of the guys at Wizards of the Coast, Jeremy Crawford, actually stated that that +4 bonus to armor class can be triggered by multiple aggressors, meaning multiple. Your armor class increases to +4 for multiple people.
So basically, if you're being suckled by 4 big burly men,
Well, I can go up to, with the another thing it gets, the whirlwind attack. It could be up to 8.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, that whole thing is like anti-gank. It's dealing with hordes.
Yeah, it kind of wild.
But yeah, he's literally a monster hunter from Monster Hunter. Shocker. One of the party members died when fighting the big thing, the guy, Basili Goober. And so to make up for that, Okuma would join up with him.
Mm-hmm.
Then we would go out, fuck up, what was his name? Cobalt.
Yeah, Sergeant Cobalt.
Sergeant Cobalt. Was... Did we fight the other Raven Queen champion by that point as well, in that fight?
Killian? Uh, n-
Oh yeah, Killian. I forgot about him.
yeah,
Well, I didn't know he was the previous Raven Queen champion, but I remember him showing up constantly. It became kind of a meme that if someone had a sword and they spin it, that he was just going to turn into Killian.
yeah, because he kept disguising himself and all that.
And he would always unsheath this rapier and like flourish it, and he would transform into his actual self,
Yeah,
and then fight us.
and then Killian went on this whole like redemption arc kind of thing and joined up with the
Mm.
group. And then the group.
And then
Hmm?
mm, what?
I was just saying the group then used Killian as assistants to try and take down the cult of Tiamat.
Mm.
Cause they
Yeah.
were kinda
So
like,
we went for Team That. There was a couple, I believe, sort of figureheads in that group. We had a big fight against them. Actually, was that? Yeah, that was still Neverwinter, right?
yeah, that was still in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
campaign.
So yeah, we fucked up those guys. Then, I believe it was at the end of that, Ash G. Williams was crowned champion of the Raven Queen. And would also every now and again have a vision where he would see the Raven Queen and she would whisper sweet nothings to him, and he would go homina homina homina.
Mommy, man.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was basically his entire interaction with the Raven Queen. She would say something. He'd be like, yeah, mommy. Yeah. I do.
And then after that we had the it wasn't straight to the pirates, but there was another thing before the pirates, right?
Underdark.
Ah, yeah. We had a little trip to the Underdark, and that went swimmingly, quote unquote. I cannot say that I remember the reason why we were in the Underdark, but I remember a certain thing that happened.
You received a letter from Grin asking for assistance in
Oh, yeah.
resistance.
Grin is from Out of the Abyss. He is, he was with Zilch. Zilch is dead in our timeline. He got fucking killed by a young black dragon.
He was.
I think it was either young or a worm.
It was a young. It was not a worm.
Okay, yeah. Young black dragon. Fucked him up. Grin, a bit sad about that. But he's an insurrection leader.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were trying to overthrow Loth. Basically, Loth, a bitch.
By the way, in the actual canonical, like, real D&D shit, when you look up Loth in the D&D Wikipedia, one of the actual names that one of the actual directors of D&D have gave her name is, like, Spider Bitch. Genuine name, or something like that. It's like Spider Bitch, or like Queen Spider Bitch, or some shit like that, and it's so... Because whenever I look at like nicknames to gods or like demon lords, some shit, it's like, like, oh, the Lord of Mudda and shit like that, and then it's just like Spider Bitch. I was like, huh?
But yeah, that sort of overarching plot point for that little campaign was that we were to overthrow Loth. One of our parts in this involved sort of a trade dealing with. Well, I don't think it was a trade, but we had to a guy at some little tower in the Underdark we had to go talk to.
No, actually.
And we roll up.
You were informed of a bandit outpost. You went there and saw some like bandits, but they like fucked off because they didn't want to fight, and so you just went and started like grabbing everything.
I swear there was a guy there that we talked to.
There was a guy there, but you weren't there to do a trade. He was just kind of there stealing shit because you were told that you went there, and then there were like bandits there who were like, "Oh, hi, we're just gonna like go now. Okay, we don't want to fight. Bye."
And then there was a terrible rumble. that echoed through the Underdark. And from a corner of the big, like, open space that we were in, one of the, like, big fucking walls just crumbles.
Mm-hmm.
And something that I think is from Critical Role, considering that when James brought it up, it had a big fat Critical Role on the box, is a monster called an Udak.
Mm-hmm.
It's big, it's hairy, it has 6 limbs, 4 arms and 2 legs.
And he is my best friend.
And basically, it rolled up, and the party went, oh.
Oh.
And we fucked him up. But he fucked us up. Because we learned very quickly that it can just grab you and not just fucking chow down.
Yeah. And then it was like, oh, thank God we got rid of that one Udak. It'd be such a shame.
We fucked him up. Everyone else was bleeding profusely. Like, everyone is grievously wounded, and we've just killed the Udak, and we're like, oh, what a valiant tale this will make. Sudden rumble in the distance. Oh no. And another one shows up. But this one was diseased. Because in this little homebrew campaign, Loth had created a disease that one of our NPCs had to make a cure for, or find a cure for. But the idea is that the task was impossible. And the idea was, if he couldn't find a cure, they were just going to kill him. They had already made a cure for it, and just kept it on the download, just kept it low-key, if you will. And didn't tell anyone.
Evil bastards.
Mm-hmm. So, this Udak had the disease Loth created. And basically, if it spreads to you, you die. Well, after a certain amount of time. Also, before that, there was also the Cult of Tiamat, who made some sort of noxious gas that turned people into crazy draconic hybrids.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
Yeah, it's just...
It's in the past.
But this Udak shows up, and everyone sees it's diseased, and they go, oh shit! And they all try to fuck off. Now, the problem is, their mode of transport is either their legs, or a couple big snails that are dragging a cart behind them. So, not a very speedy exit.
Yeah.
And so, what was the question cropping up in my mind? The thing that piqued my interest was, how are they going to get out of here? And so I thought, okay, I know what must be done. And I fucked up, and I died.
It was
basically.
horrible.
At some point during one of the campaigns, I had actually perfected my character into a sort of monster hunter. I wasn't the full funny yet, but I had made the slinger, which is seen in Monster Hunter World. It's basically a grappling hook / crossbow mounted to your left arm. Why the left? Kill yourself. I'm not sure, but it's on the left. So yeah, I tried to use the little harpoon from that to bring down one of the stalactites above the Udak. I rolled terribly, and it just went nah, and grabbed it.
Nah.
I then had to roll strength against it while raging, so I had advantage on the roll, and I rolled like shit. With the belt of Storm Giant strength.
Somehow.
Straight into the mouth.
And
then, while in the mouth, I realised that it had let go of my harpoon thing. And so I went, wouldn't it be funny? I fired it towards the ceiling again as a sort of last effort, and it connected to the stalactite. And do you know what that means? Do you know what that means? That means profit, right? That's very good for me, because it means I can get out of this predicament. And so I go, okay, grab it with both hands, well, my other hand as well, and yank it. Now, in theory, what was supposed to happen is that I would pull the stalactite down, and it would crush the Udak's head, or whatever, most likely killing me, but also eliminating the Udak. However, that wasn't exactly what happened. If you'd like to explain.
So, if I remember correctly, your dice were being very, like, not kind to you that day.
Mm-hmm.
So when you rolled to see if you could pull down the stalactite, it just went...
I all of a sudden rolled absolutely fucking goated.
It just went, no. Nah. I ain't coming. So you tried to pull the stalactite down, and it was not budging. And this thing, and I'm pretty sure the Udak, like, actually bit into you at this point.
Yeah, well, it shoved down on me, and I fired it into the roof again. I actually got the stalactite, and now the goal was simply just to pull it down.
Mm-hmm.
It was my one remaining effort. I rolled, and it was actually very good. But again, the idea was it was just the stalactite that was supposed to come down.
Oh, yeah.
Not possibly accidentally block off an entire section of the Underdark.
You just made a massive fucking cave-in, basically, and it was wild.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And moments before being hurled into its jaws, I gave the massive copper necklace that it's not a necklace, well, yeah, it's like beads. I gave that to one of the other party members, the funny bat folk Smokey, who is a pirate captain. And for the rest of the campaign, he had that on him, that was very cool.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, he fucking died. But also killed the Udak. And so that has sparked the debate on what isn't really debate, it's just... Basically, the argument is whether or not I actually died to the Udak, or if you could say that I killed myself.
Yeah, because I have never actually killed one of Big Man's characters. So in the moment, I was kind of like, damn, did I just kill one of Big Man's characters? And then I never should have said that, because that started a whole fucking debate that went on for like a week or so, of people being like, well, I think it technically, blah, 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 and there's people going, well, actually, and it was just going, oh my god, shut the... No one cares. It was like,
Basically,
one comment.
The situation caused his death, and the situation was presented by the DM, so technically... but yeah, that happened, he got fucked. Well, I wish, no. Well, no, not after death, I mean. Because then that'd be a bit weird, wouldn't it? But he goes up to the pearly gates, very, very slowly. And while that's happening, Virgil comes back.
Yeah, just kind of shows up, just out of thin air.
Yeah, just rolls up, helps the party out, fucks up the guys. Then that was pretty much the end of that campaign. Then there was a funny battle royale, which went quite funny.
Yeah,
like for example, just immediately Caden's character Smokey goes up to the highest point he can and just starts fucking like he immediately snipes one of our other PC's character from like across the map and does like half his health.
Yeah. Just right off the gate. Just up.
Mm-hmm.
First turn in the entire battle royale, boom, half your health.
Then he later would accidentally make a deal with one of the other party members, Magnolia, which would fuck them both over. Because they couldn't move more than a certain distance away from each other. I believe it was 30 feet.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't go more than 30 feet away from each other, or else one would start to get dragged in the direction that the other is going. If one of them receives healing, so does the other. However, if one takes damage, so does the other. Sort of like warding bond. Yeah, sort of like that. But it also applies to healing. So they were kind of fucked. And then I got out of my little situation. Basically, I went into a room at the start of the Battle Royale. And in these little rooms, there can be chests or something like that found. And so, for example, one of our other PCs, Alexander Vanier, went into a room, and he got a pretty cool item. I believe it was the little amulet thing, but just put him back to full health.
Oh no, it wasn't
After
it was a charm, because sometimes if you put your arm in, you might just get a charm ingrained in your arm. If he took damage, he would be put back up to full HP, and someone put him down to like 2 HP or something.
Caden shot the shit out of him, got him literally inches away from death's doorstep, and then the charm activated and went straight back to full health.
And the face that Caden had. Oh, I've never seen him look so devastated.
But while that stuff had been going on, I went into a room. First of all, I wasn't sure if I would actually even fit into the room, because Virgil uses the large size category, but apparently the door just like magically widened for me, so it's literally fine. Goated. I go into the room. There's a big closet. I look at the closet, and coming out of the closet is the ex-champion of the Raven Queen. I'm really proud of him for doing that. But he comes out, now admitting that he's just a wee gay boy, and tries to fight me.
Admits that he likes
I
men.
beat the fuck out of him. In a couple of rounds of combat, I absolutely level his shit, pick him up, and by this point the ring around the place had started to close in. So the room I was in was being destroyed. And I wasn't sure if I could actually go back out the door, because my character is so large and the area is so small. So I just went, I've just killed you. I just threw him through the wall.
Boom, axe to the neck.
Boom, face to the concrete. Face to the dirt. But wait, the people who were around the area just see this guy get fucking fired through this wall and into the building next to it. And then through the smoke, they see Virgil, the massive knight, just slowly walk out of the smoke, carrying this big fucking glaive. It's a sickle-headed glaive, it's called. It was a homebrew item I found. Not an actual one you can find. It was literally just lying about in one of the campaigns.
Yeah.
I picked it up, found out that it does 2d10 damage, like the Oni glaive. I went, ooh! Took it. It's now magically enchanted. It's +1. And it still is. And I basically started hyping up the crowd. And then I was pointing towards Polar and the other person we were doing this with is Connor. Like towards their characters, stating that they had been marked for death. Then a pit fiend showed up.
The only thing I could try and stop Big Man, and it fucking failed.
I cut up his wings so he couldn't fly, then pushed him into the void.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Then the area closed in some more. I beat the fuck out of Leo. He beat the fuck out of me a bit. With Alexander Vanier. Then I just fucked off away from him, ran through the supports of the central building. Polar's character fell through because I rolled really good to just like smash the place to pieces. And then we saw that there was just an Oni chilling in there. And he went, "Sup?" I went, "Hey." Right next to me. So we both just start fucking wailing down on the like what was he even playing?
At that point they weren't playing Arthur because Arthur died. Oh, they were playing the Chrono Wizard. They were a Triton.
Yeah, so me and Mr. Oni just started wailing down on this Triton who just fell through the ceiling. Kill him. And because NPCs can't win, and the game master was actually helping Polar out, again, NPCs can't win, and I was the last person standing because everyone else died to the void or got brutally murdered. So yeah, I won, got fuck all. Next campaign, funny pirate time. So you know how Okama died, and he was slowly ascending to the pearly gates of heaven? Basically, he got there, met God, and God went, "Nah," bitch slapped him, kicked him back down, he's back.
Back, round 2, baby, let's go, yeah!
Let's go mitts, it's all about the mitts, baby!
It's all about the mitts, man, it's all about the mitts.
But he's back with the funny pirates, and there was more of them, and we're all bats.
Yeah, like half the crew, no, like all the crew were bats.
It's an entire crew of bats. And we're a little bit silly.
A bit of a goober.
And we went to, well, basically we do bounty hunting, or at least well, we've sort of been given free reign. It's basically we're playing in free mode.
Yeah.
So we can kind of do whatever. So I started out, I think, by going, oh wait, no, first of all, it was Caden who just went, alright, let's run a bit of a map, let's go here. To the one place, but it had absolutely nothing planned for. Like, conveniently. We found a guy there who was pretending to be some sort of spirit, like, haunting this sort of, I guess, fort that we found on our travels, like going over there. He tried to steal from us, tried to yoink our ship, found out his gun's fake, saw an IOU in it.
Yeah, there was just a little piece of paper and it just said IOU. Which...
But now he's one of our party members. After we initially, I think we're going to turn him in, and then went like, nah, he's kind of a G.
He kind of chill.
I didn't know you were chill like that. Then there was, what actually was there? There was meeting him.
Masquerade.
I think it was. Was it before the Masquerade that Smokey died?
Which time?
The first.
Before.
Okay, yeah. So, basically, one of our other party members who joined up with us, Andrew, he's back, but this time he's a pirate guy. Well, he's not a pirate, he's a noble. He's playing as a noble and he's with the pirates. He's hanging with the pirates. He's hanging with the boys. And his father, Big Stinky, doesn't like that. He wants his hun...
His hung?
He wants his son... no, he wants his son home now, so he can have stern words with him. Because those guys, they're the squalid, they're the poor, they're the wretched. They're the everyman, and that's not me.
I'm not gonna lie. When you said they want to have a stern word with them, my brain is that melted. I genuinely thought you were about to say that you wanted to have steamy sex, and I'm like, what? I was just like sat there like, what?
No. He wanted to have a talk with him, and so basically the idea is that was going to happen at a masquerade. And so during the preparation for the masquerade, just before that, we're doing some bounty hunting, of course, as previously mentioned. And there was a guy we were looking for, Skinner. And we had learned that he was going to be attending this masquerade. Who's Skinner? Well, he skins people. Skinner. Skins people? Skinner.
Not
there you go.
Guy.
Lore. Not a good guy. A little bit smelly. D tier.
D tier.
Basically. He was at the masquerade. We needed to get stuff ready. Kieran, Magnolia, not Magnolia anymore. Old Ironsides, Bat. Rolls out with a 2,000 gold piece, big pink tuxedo, bling literally everywhere. Like so blinged out that if you look at him at like the wrong angle, he actually just disappears. And then some other people rolled up in tuxes. I rolled up in the armor I wear because, I mean, it's strap. I'm just the guy.
Used to go.
But just before that, when we were still like buying the suits and stuff, or no, when we were still looking for Skinner actually, Leo rolls into a tavern and starts asking a guy about Skinner. And the guy tells him to go chase himself. And Leo doesn't like that. So, as he does, he whips out his flame-tongued sword and tries to intimidate him. This never goes well. He gets a gun pull on him. And Polo was also there. Got shot by the guy. Left the tavern and just started wandering the streets. Kid sees that. Doesn't like that very much. Goes into the tavern. Oh, you! Oh, you! Aye, you! Oh, fat boy! Fatty! Did you just shoot my crewmate? And the guy goes, aye, what are you going to do about it? I think Caden also pulled the gun on him. And then...
He didn't just pull a gun on him. You keep telling it. You're telling it pretty good, but
pulls a gun on him. I don't remember if he fired it or not.
He fires.
I want to say maybe.
He fires and he kills the guy instantly.
Yeah, so he fucking shoots the guy because he just caused harm to a crewmate. And so then, as usual, everyone else in the tavern pulls out every fucking conceivable weapon that you could think of. And then, I believe they try to de-escalate the situation. And basically, by de-escalate, I mean Smokey's brains get fucking plastered over the walls, and then because James,
No, see what actually happened is that Smokey's pointing the gun, right? And so they all pull out their weapons, and the barkeep beside him points the blunderbuss to his side, and the barkeep's basically telling him to put the weapon away, and Smokey goes, "Nah, I'm not doing that." And he goes, "Oh, fair enough," and then just blows his fucking brains out all over the fucking like window, and his body goes straight into a fucking table.
And so basically, because James didn't expect us to have someone die so quick, and there was conveniently a cleric nearby that had to revive him.
Mm-hmm.
Smiley face. So he gets brought back, meaning his DC, which we have, or ended up creating, has increased from 5 to 10. Every character has a DC. It's a D20. It starts out at 5. And each time they die, it increases by a multiple of 5. So now, for example, Okama and Smokey, they've both died at least once. Once. But it's 10 for the DC now. So if someone wants to revive them, we need to roll a d20 and get 10 or higher. If that is rolled, they come back and the DC goes up again, now to 15. And it keeps going until I believe you literally just can't save it anymore.
Yeah.
And so basically, that happened. He gets revived. We go to the masquerade, and oh my god, everyone's a vampire.
Yeah. It went.
Except
horrible.
Skinner.
Except Skinner. He was the only one who wasn't a vampire.
And he gets his shit rocked. And so did we.
It was fantastic, and then.
But luckily, we escaped.
Barely.
Then, I think it was after that, we went back to the boat. I want to say that was where we then got a nice bit of rest. A nice evening's worth of rest. And wake up the next day, have a nice little stretch after getting out of bed, go up onto the deck, and oh my god, why is that boat on fire?
We do love a chaotic campaign.
So literally the day after that, we wake up, there's a boat on fire, people are screaming. And so we need to go over there, help them. Well, we didn't need to, but like... Shut up.
Fuck you.
Exactly. We go over there, help them out. We meet up with some other guys, because the NPC guy from the start of this campaign, the one who was fucking about with us and had the IOU in his gun, but was fake. He is a privateer, not a pirate. He's a legal pirate.
I remember the legal part of
that. And he is looking for a big vault. And that vault, not even S plus, big money.
Big moolah.
Hefty payout, big moolah. Enough to pay out his debt. Enough for the pirate crew to stop working for the government. Like it's Red Dead Redemption 1. Why did that happen? Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Once again, if you want to know, you can fucking wait.
Tell. But yeah, basically, they go with we sort of team up with them. We do a bit of a collaboration with this other group, who I believe this Tiefling guy is their sort of main guy.
Yeah, he's like the captain.
And I think it was during that masquerade we talked to Jarlax? No, not him. He's dead.
Well, no, he's
or in prison.
Dead. Well, no, he's
I
not.
don't remember.
He's not in either. He works for the government now, like he used to.
Oh, but no, it wasn't Jarlax. It was one of the Keylags, Moramar. right?
No, Rusk.
No, Rusk is the guy with us. I mean, the one we were talking to. Or had to go talk
Mormar's
to.
dead.
Fuck!
The captain, Captain Keelag, is also dead. There are no other surviving
Darn!
Keelags other than Rusk.
Oh. Well, Rusk had a guy.
Yeah, the
And he
Tiefling.
fucking left him. Oh. I
Yeah.
see now.
Captain
Okay.
Morphus.
Right, yeah. So, they... So, they have a bit of a collab, a bit of a collaboration. A hot music video dropping, right? And so, we help them out. We're going to the vault. Oh, me oh my! What a beautiful day it is! Oh, why is there all of a sudden a storm coming in? That couldn't be anything bad, right? Why is the boat starting to shake? Oh my god, what is that? A fucking tentacle! A kraken showed up.
Not. Just remember, not just a Kraken.
Oh yeah,
Big Bill.
a kraken by the name of Big Bertha, which, from what I remember, it was at the end of the Vecna campaign. We're level 20, I think. And one of our options we had at the end of that was we could go and fight it. Because we would have gotten a ton of money if we did.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't want to. Because it's a kraken. The kraken has a lot of health. The kraken is a siege monster. And if you know D&D, siege monsters mean that big, like, that castle you're in, that boat you're on, I'm gonna hit it, bang! And you know what? I'm a siege monster. That's double damage. Cry, weep, seethe.
And fighting something in the ocean's pretty scary, because if you lose your
Oh.
boat, you're like fucked.
But my theory to be made on that is because the kraken is so large, and well, everyone on the boat is like medium sized. If it destroyed our boat, theoretically we would be fine, because something of that size would presumably then think, "Oh wait a minute, that wasn't food." But these guys probably are. But like they're so small, and like I mean, sure, there's a lot of them, but like they're so small. I spent all of that energy to fucking smash that boat to pieces, and these two tiddlywinks of fucking meat is what I get. No, I'm going home.
I wanted a fucking steak dinner, not some fucking Tic Tacs. What the fuck?
Uh-huh. I ordered a KFC family meal and they gave me 2 chips. I'm going back there. I'm going fucking back there.
I'm pissed. I asked for an entire bucket of chicken nuggets. They gave me half a chicken nugget. What the fuck?
Uh-huh. So presumably, if the boat did break, it would just fucked off. But it fucked off anyway when we were about to kill it, because apparently it's been maybe mind controlled.
Maybe. Still, because that was one of the more recent sessions that just happened, like last week, I think it was.
But yeah, that fucked off. We're at the vault now.
The Vault of the Dead.
In the vault. Yes. Oh, also, there's an NPC who keeps coming up every now and again called the Gambler. He is essentially purely made to fuel the group's obsession with acquiring the deck of many things and then dying.
Yeah, which I feel the entire deck of many things, we could use that for an entire episode. Like, there's so much that has happened with that.
Basically, he's on the boat now with us, and each day we can go gamble, or at least the crack fiends can go gamble. So like Caden, Andrew, Kieran, and Polar. Basically, anyone who isn't me can go gamble. Because I've gambled twice. I'm pretty sure.
And both have got
no, 3 times now. 3 times now. One of them, I think I actually drew something decent on the free gamble. I think it was. That session. Then there was I gambled and got balance, and my character became a little bit of a dick. And then there was the first time I gambled, all the way back with Ogred Rookslayer.
And got possibly the worst fucking card in the deck.
I drew the Void, and basically, Ogred's Soul, bye-bye, and an object now.
Bye-bye.
Where? That's for you to find out, buddy. What's that? You don't have a wish spell to like find out where that might be? Oh, fuck you. And basically, because Ogre was sort of like the big melee man for that group, a little bit of a hard carry, that got retconned.
Yeah, more or less just because we were in like the height of everything going on. It was late at night, and half the group weren't even there. But I think only like 3 people were. It was kind of like a late night kind of just D&D session, so we just kind of went, do it this one time.
Mm-hmm. And then, went into the vault. Before that, Caden drew the Void again. Then someone used the Fates to get him back. Then, when we went into the actual vault, we split off into 2 groups. Caden goes into a room. There's a pretty purple orb in there. And he goes, "Oh!" Goes up to it. Touches it. "Are you willing?" Aww! And the soul is yoinked into the orb and he dies.
Full stop, dead.
Well, his orb is stuck. Well, his body's in. His soul is in the orb. His physical body is. It's a shell. It's a husk.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing going on in there. And we're still in the vault.
Yeah. And basically the group had to like continue forward, deal with like different parts of the vault, and have now are like in the middle of the vault resting.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, we haven't rested yet.
Well, they're about to rest, and that's where we left it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the basically our entire experience summarized in about 2.5 hours.
4 hours.
Well, 2.5 hours.
Oh, damn.
Basically summarized in about 2.5 hours. Once again, that's only probably touching about maybe what, actually probably about 30% of what's actually happened in our account. Well, actually, no. Yeah, about 30% in total.
It's like each or a good portion of the campaigns, and like 1 or 2 kind of major or silly events that have happened.
There's still a lot more that's happened, and we can't really just go over it in one big video, mainly because we need the content. We're not just going to do it in one big video and then be like, yep, fuck you guys, here's one video.
We need to milk this cow for all she's got.
Yeah. I think that's gone pretty successfully. 2.5 hours. We've basically described from our like the before times to the current timeline to where we are right now, and even talked about some of the behind the scenes of like working on D&D and all that. And I'll say that's been it's been a fun journey since 2019 to now. I can't wait to see the future of our campaigns and as D&D as a whole. Yes, look, I will be honest, it has some rocky moments. We don't talk about that one OGL situation that D&D went through. Or the recent situation with the Pinkertons. We don't talk about that. Goddamn Pinkertons.
The goddamn Pinkertons!
Um, but yeah, I think this would be a good place to close off the episode. Is there any final remarks you want to leave this episode with?
Um,
That was a good first episode, and it was a pleasure doing it, and I cannot wait to see the future of the Far Travellers.
hmm.